Hey guys, welcome back to the YouTube channel. So today I have a Passover video for you. I'm going to be going over how I celebrate my Passover, and hopefully it can help you celebrate yours. So I'm going to be detailing exactly step by step how I celebrate the Passover, and I hope this is very helpful for you and you enjoy your Passover this year. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Passover this year is going to be April 10th through April 16th. We follow the lunar calendar, so that's what we've calculated it to be, is April 10th and April 16th of this year. So we will be observing the Passover and then the Feast of Unleavened Bread for the 7 days. So the verses that talk about Passover and Feast of Unleavened Bread are going to be Exodus 12 and then Leviticus 23 verses 5 through 7, and it's going to be the King James Version. So I'm going to go ahead and put the scriptures on the screen as I go through the topics that I'm going to be discussing in this video, so you have the references for it, and just to save time so this video is not like an hour long. So let's get into it. So I'm going to go ahead and put my trusty head tie on because I will be referencing it, even though I won't be reading it in this video. I will be referencing it, and as you know, if you're an Israelite woman in the truth, that you cannot read scripture without your head tie, so, or a headscarf. So let's go. All right, so Exodus 3 through 9 kind of talks about the lamb and how we should get our lamb and how we should cook our lamb and things of that nature. So I kind of wanted to go through that. So I'm going to be looking down at my phone because I do have some notes here, but basically it's going to be difficult for you to find a whole lamb, and even if you are, it's going to be difficult for you to find a lamb that's within its first year. So basically its first year of living. That is very difficult because we live in Babylon. You know how that is. So what I tend to do is go to the store and buy pieces of lamb. So I typically buy a lamb shoulder. So every time, being that Passover is coming up, starting March, maybe late February, every single time I place a grocery order, because I do my Walmart grocery orders online and have them delivered to my house, I will go ahead and order one lamb shoulder and then one pack of ground lamb, because this year I'm going to be making the lamb shoulder, and I'm also just going to be making lamb burgers because it's just an easy thing that I know my kids would like to eat. So in the scripture it also talks about sharing the lamb if the lamb is too much. So say we were able to get a whole lamb and it was just too much for our household to eat, we would share that with our neighbors. But again, that is going to be difficult because we live in Babylon. A lot of our neighbors are not Israelites, or they are Israelites but they're not in the truth. So doing that is going to be virtually impossible in a lot of situations. So again, that's why I go ahead and buy the lamb pieces, and then just make sure that I'm not buying too much, because it does talk about basically not having leftovers. So if there are any type of leftovers, they have to be burnt in the morning. You cannot have any leftovers of that lamb. So I tend to again buy what I need, make exactly what I need without having leftovers. That way food is not getting wasted, but if there is leftovers, it does need to be burnt. And in Exodus 7 it talks about basically striking the doorpost and above the door with the lamb blood. So again, being that we can't have the whole lamb, what I will just do is save the packaging of the lamb, what it comes in, and I'll basically take the lamb out, prep it, season it, do what I need to do with it. And there's always like a little bit of blood left in the package, so I'll save like 2 or 3 of the packages, and then I will just sit it in the fridge in like a Ziploc bag. And then what my husband will do is right before we sit down for dinner and we get ready to do our holy convocation and all of that jazz, he will basically go out to the front, he will go on the side post, spread the basically strike it with the lamb blood, and then that's kind of how we do it, being that where we won't have access to a whole lamb. So in the very next verse, Exodus 12:8-9, it's very specific on how the lamb needs to be cooked. So it's basically needs to be roasted with fire, and it basically said not sodden with water and not eaten raw. So it needs to be roasted with fire. So basically what I do is I just go out, like my charcoal grill, and go ahead and roast it on the grill. But if you don't have access to a grill, like you don't have a grill and you can't go out and buy one, you can just use your broiler. As long as the broiler on your stove is actual fire, it's going to be under, then you can use that as well. So the next thing that it talks about is unleavened bread. So if you're not familiar with what unleavened bread is, it's just basically what it sounds like. It's bread that's not made with any leavening agent. So baking soda, baking powder, yeast, that sort of thing. And it goes far beyond that, the agents that are used for leavening. So I'm going to provide you guys with a resource. I will put it on the screen right here or right here, but I will also go ahead and put it in the description box. It's a blog that's called an Israelite blog, and he details exactly all of the leavening agents that you could possibly see in food, and that makes it so easy for you. You can probably print it out, so easy for you to be able to make sure that your food does not have any of those things in it. And if you guys are interested, I would love to go ahead and make a video for you with unleavened bread, because when I first came into the truth, I was under the impression that unleavened bread was just like basically non-bread, and that's the only thing that you can make. But you can make so many unleavened treats. I make unleavened fried dumplings, unleavened non-bread, unleavened butterscotch cakes, blueberry muffins, unleavened cornbread. There's so much things that you can make. So if you guys are interested in that, I will go ahead and make my unleavened bread, pre-make my unleavened bread, and then kind of show you guys the different recipes or the ideas that you can follow to make sure that you have some great unleavened treats for that week. Exodus 8 also talks about bitter herbs. So bitter herbs are something that we need to eat. So it's going to be that lamb that you roasted or you put under your broiler. Make sure that it's well done. It doesn't have any, like, we're not doing medium well, rare. We're not doing that. It has to be well done, not raw at all. And we're doing the unleavened bread, and then we're doing bitter herbs. So bitter herbs, the bitter herbs that I use are romaine lettuce, and I usually cut up some endive or endive, however you pronounce it. But those are the bitter herbs that I use. I believe arugula is also a bitter herb. Mint is also considered a bitter herb, and parsley is also considered a bitter herb. So I just usually just make a salad of the bitter herbs that I can find. So you want to make sure that those three things you have at your table for Passover. And Exodus 11 talks about how you should be dressed when you observe the Passover and you're basically at the table ready for dinner. So it says you need to have your loins girded and basically shoes on your feet. So we basically get dressed up. The girls, we put a head wrap on, we have a nice dress on, make sure we have shoes on. The men, basically the same thing, pants, shirt, shoes, and then my husband will have his staff, because that is required as well. The verse also talks about eating in haste, and that just means eating hurriedly or quickly. So we don't kind of like sit around the table and, you know, lollygag. We eat our food, and then we get ready to do our holy convocation. Now, starting at verse 15, this talks more about the Feast of Unleavened Bread. So this is going to be after Passover, those 6 days afterwards, because Passover and Feast of Unleavened Bread is 7 days total. So those 6 days after Passover, you're going to be celebrating the Feast of Unleavened Bread. So this is where you have no leavening in your house, no leavening agents, no food with leavening in it. That's so hard to say. So that's what you're basically going to do. So first, what I like to do is start my cleaning a week before. I typically start my just Israelite New Year cleaning way before that, but then the week before Passover and Feast of Unleavened Bread, I kind of just do a little bit of detail cleaning, moving things, vacuuming under them, shaking out rugs, that type of thing, just to make sure there is no leavening in the house. I also will require that my kids eat at the dining room table or the kitchen table, because sometimes I do allow them to eat in their room, but that week I clean, have them clean, move beds and all that stuff, and then they will not be allowed to eat in their room, because I want to make sure anything that they are eating that has leavening in it is not getting crumbs and stuff in their room, if that makes sense. So what I would recommend is that resource that I gave you for the blog. I would print out the leavening agents and then just check all the food in your home and make sure it doesn't have any of those leavening agents in it. Now, food can be scarce at times. Listen, I understand. When you spend your hard-earned money on food and then you have to get rid of it, what I have done in the past is I have taken all the leavening food out and I will put them in a container, a sealed container, in my car, because we don't have a garage, so it's out of the home. But you can also just maybe a month or a couple weeks before Passover, you just stop buying groceries with leavening in it. It kind of is up to you how you want to do it, but you just want to make sure that you kind of get that stuff out of your home. And side note, I did say that you want to check your packaging labels. You also want to check your hygiene products and toothpaste and things like that, because those things contain baking soda and some of those ingredients that you would not think has leavening agents in it, but they actually do. And it also talks about a holy convocation. So if you don't know what a holy convocation is, it's just basically you guys gather, read the Bible, pray, that type of thing. So you gather with each other and you worship. So we will do that. We will read some excerpts from the Bible. We will have a discussion about that. And every year we watch the movie Exodus. Now, keep in mind, the movie was done very well, but it also has white people in it, so it's like, yeah, I mean, you can't really, it is what it is. But for the most part, the movie is it's correct. It just has the wrong color. Well, not necessarily color, it has the wrong people in the movie. It doesn't depict our people in the movie, but for the most part, the movie is accurate as far as like the Bible and the scripture goes. So the next thing is, on the first day we do not work, and on the last day we do not work. So for me, that means I do no cleaning, I don't answer any emails, I don't do any YouTube stuff, I don't make my normal calls that I have to do, whatever stuff that I normally do, I would not do. The only thing that I will do on that day is cook, because you are allowed to cook. But on the first day and the last day, there will be no work. So my kids will not go to school the first day and the seventh day, and my husband will not work. He'll take off the first day and the seventh day. The next thing is that you want to remember that you have to eat unleavened bread each and every day. So you have to make sure that you have unleavened bread every day, Passover and Feast of Unleavened Bread. So that's a requirement. So I basically make sure that I have unleavened bread, different types, just because my kids like variety, but you can just make your normal unleavened bread and just have a piece of it each day of the week. And this year, as far as getting the leavening agents out of my house and making sure that I'm not buying that kind of stuff, I just kind of try to focus on clean eating for that week. So no processed food, making sure it's just meat with whatever seasoning, salt, pepper, making sure it doesn't have any type of leavening agents in the seasoning that I'm using, and just veggies, fruit, just working with like less meat and things like that. So I just try to, it just makes it easier if I'm focusing on very, very clean eating for that week. Then I usually don't make mistakes like, you know, having a bunch of things in my food that I have to double check and whatnot. And the last thing that I'm going to go over is once the blood of the lamb is on the post outside, we lock up our house for the night on Passover. So we lock the doors, no garbage is taken out, we're not going outside for any reason. If someone knocks on the door, we are not opening the door for whatever reason. We just don't, because the scripture basically says that you stay in until the morning time. So that's the history, that is what we'll follow. So that's pretty much what we do. We don't go outside until the morning. And I know I just went over so many things and provided you guys with a bunch of scripture pertaining to Passover and Feast of Unleavened Bread, but as a side note, I wanted to say this. If this is your first time, your second time, your third time, your fourth time, your fifth time, your 10th time celebrating Passover and Feast of Unleavened Bread, or any high holy day or any feast day, I just want to say that you're going to make mistakes. It's just inevitable. I've been in the truth for a while now, about 5 years, and I still make mistakes. So don't be so hard on yourself. If you make a mistake, correct it in the moment and keep it moving. The Most High is very particular about what He wants us to do, but I also believe that if you're trying your best and you're doing the very best that you can and you make a mistake, just ask for forgiveness and don't beat yourself up about it. There's gonna be a crumb in your house that you didn't get. There may be a product in your house that you overlooked because you didn't realize that it had a leavening agent in it. Just remove it from your house and pray to the Most High and ask Him for forgiveness. So I just want to remind you guys not to be so hard on yourself. You're going to make mistakes, and that's okay, as long as you are following the law, statutes, and commandments, and you're praying to the Most High for forgiveness, you should be all good. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video and it was helpful to you. Don't forget to comment down below letting me know what you plan to do for your Passover and Feast of Unleavened Bread. And don't forget to follow me on Instagram. I have a love-hate relationship with Instagram, but I'm working on some content, so I should be back on there very, very soon. Hit me up on my blog. It's like my little diary. It's mrslnoble.com, no dot, so just Mrs.LNoble.com. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you'll be the first to know when I upload new content. And as always, guys, I so appreciate you. So don't forget to keep it positive, but keep it holy, and always keep it real. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Shalom.
Read it all like the yeah, they do. So I'm stay on my job like Steve. Sticking for the preacher that's like that lane. Only with the money and the fame. You can tell them by the fruits that it bear. No, I ain't gotta call no name. Hate it when they give it to you raw. I'm like a pig, ain't nobody getting out. Need to get enough out your fear. Let it go. Cause some of y'all just too soft. Yeah, I counted the cost. I'm a priest from the north to the south. If the shoe fits some of y'all teeth, what it needs, they probably need to watch they mouth. Okay. Still, I'm pulling all out. Showing no mercy when it comes to the word. See, this ain't about no faith. No, it ain't. It's all about who you gon' serve. And I hope none of y'all gon' swerve. Just do your best, gotta stay on track. I seen it lock and sip like weed, so I'm praying none of y'all fall back.